I've heard people say some comments like, well, that's great for you, but I don't have intuition, or things like that. Or I don't know how to access my intuition. And I'm here to tell you, every single person has intuition. We can all access it. It is a muscle that you need to practice and build in order to grow stronger. It gets easier. So I've noticed a need to be able to give a really tangible tool and strategy to help people tap into their intuition and to start making it part of their practice.
Have you ever felt that quiet nudge? Like something in your gut is telling you it's time for a change, even if you're not sure what's next? That's what we're diving into today. This episode is all about trusting your intuition, recognizing the signs when it's time to pivot, and having the courage to take the next step, even when the path ahead feels uncertain. I'm joined by Laura Flowers, a school psychologist who has spent 18 years in education, but has been feeling the pull towards something new. Through her work as a life coach and Reiki master, she helps women reconnect with their authentic selves and trust their inner wisdom. In this conversation, we discuss the growing challenges in education, how intuition has guided her toward the next chapter, and how you can start tapping into your own inner knowing. Plus, she's sharing a free 28-day journaling guide to help you strengthen your intuition. So let's dive in. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Life's Next Lesson Plan. I'm Rachel, and I started this podcast during my 29th and last year as a high school teacher. The goal of my work with Life's Next Lesson Plan, as well as my Live and Learn Patreon, is to create a connection where we are all teachers. We all have lessons and stories to share that can help others. I'm so fortunate to be able to extend the four walls of my previous classroom to an unlimited audience, where we can all learn from each other. And my guests are some of the most inspirational people with the best stories and lessons I know, which is why I want to share them with you. Their words are something everyone should hear. It is my hope that you are able to take away something from each episode to apply to your own life, whether that be a career search, path to a more fulfilling life, or new ideas on current topics. This episode of Life's Next Lesson Plan is sponsored by Literatus. Literatus is more than just a bookstore. It's a hub for connection, community, and incredible stories waiting to be discovered. Rather than sending my listeners to big online retailers, I want to encourage you to support this beloved local business. Whether you're picking up a book we've discussed on the podcast or browsing their website for your next literary adventure, Literatus has you covered. Every week on the podcast, we dive into books that inspire, challenge, and transform. And now I'm thrilled to share a way for you to get those books while supporting a local treasure, Literatus, right in my own town of Watertown. By shopping at Literatus, you're not just buying a book, you're investing in our community. And who doesn't love the smell of fresh pages while you sip one of their handcrafted drinks, enjoying the charm of your local bookstore visit? Stop in today at 401 Main Street in Watertown, or visit their social media or website to order online. Let's support the places that make our town special. I'm so excited to have Laura Flowers on the podcast today. It's been a fun little journey because even though we don't know each other in person, we met through a podcasting group. We have found, after I was on her podcast recently, that we actually have very similar paths and interests and lives and goals. So it's been fun getting to know her from a distance, but I will let her give her background a little bit for you guys so that you can get to know her as well before she shares her stories with us today.
Hi, Rachel. Thank you so much for inviting me on your podcast. I'm really excited to be here with you today. So a bit about me. My current role, or the current hat that I am wearing right now, is I am a transformational life coach and I am a Reiki master practitioner and energy healer. However, I didn't really start at that path, and this is what you were alluding to. I also wear the hat of being a school psychologist. So I've been in public education field for the past 18 years. So like you, Rachel, I've kind of done some soul searching in the most recent years and decided that there's more to me than what I've been living as a school psychologist for the past 18 years. So that's where I am right now.
Yeah, exactly. Again, it's funny, the more you talk to people, you hear the similarities of the experiences that you're having. And I appreciate you being open just about your journey today, because I know from feedback on the show that a lot of people are sharing some of the emotions that we have shared with each other. So because we've both spent a lot of time in education, and because this podcast is centered on education, well, you have to have many, I know, memorable or funny stories from your educational journey, but will you share one with us today?
Oh my gosh, Rachel, there are so many. And reflecting back on this and deciding, what do I want to share? And I don't know if your audience or you will appreciate this, but this is just where I'm feeling called to tell stories. So my role as a school psychologist, I have so many wild stories about the topics that kids want to talk to me about, issues that they're working through. But I keep going back to, I have the really uncomfortable conversations with students that other people do not want to have at all. So like, if a student asks one of their teachers, and I work in a middle school, mind you, so we're at that age bracket of like, we'll say 11 to 14-ish year olds. So they've got all kinds of questions about their bodies and what's happening. So many of the students that I've worked with over the years have come with a lot of questions about things like, where do babies come from? How do babies get out of the body? And it's like, or what does this crude term mean about like a reference to a different body part? And so, and like, mind you, I'm having like social skills groups teaching kids about, appropriate language, social skills, what to do or say in different situations. And so I've found myself a recurring theme for whatever reason, and I bet many other school psychologists can relate to this, is that I'm having to answer a lot of those questions that before I went into the profession, I thought that like, oh, these are only for like home, like parents to be talking about. But not the case, because I know, because I'm talking to parents, I'm like, so your kids are asking me to talk about this and ask about this. Are you okay if I answer questions in a factual way? Or is it something that you want me to refer back to you as the parent to answer? And believe it or not, a lot of the times parents are like, you're willing to talk about that? Please, yes, because I don't know what to say. So I'm, a lot of my students that might be on the autism spectrum, for example, have these wild questions about like, I remember one boy, an example, he was like, I understand how a baby gets into a mom's tummy, but like, how hard is it for her to throw it up, like to get it out of the body? Like, it's, so I don't know. I'm having like those types of questions. And then I'm remembering this one group where I was working with a bunch of children that, were more lower cognitive abilities. And unfortunately, one of the boys in my group, another boy in the locker room said, oh, it'd be really funny for you to say, and he said the word boner. So he's like, go up to that kid over there and say, I like your boner. And so you could imagine that didn't go over well in the locker room. So this gets brought to my group and they're like, but what does boner mean? I'm like, oh my gosh, am I really having to now explain what that word means to a group of middle school students? This is like, I cannot believe I'm getting paid to do this right now.
I am now the health teacher and...
Right? Like, and you probably know as an educator, you're wearing so many hats that you don't go to school for. Like, it's just kind of, you're thrown into this role of educator, like school mom, health teacher, motivational speaker. Like, it's just all the things. So yeah, so many stories like that. And I just have to laugh about it over the years.
Yeah, wow. So many thoughts, and I'm not surprised at all, of course, having worked in education. But do you think, because it's so interesting to me that with the internet now, having, very easy access to answers, do you notice that it's been more recently that you're getting these types of questions, or has it been the whole entire career, would you say?
Honestly, it's the whole entire
Okay.
year. Yes. And like there's pros and cons to having like readily available internet because that brings up a whole other things
Yes.
that I'll because we see, as you know, in schools nowadays, you can see what your kids are looking at, what they're searching for. And so I've had to have some difficult conversations with parents of your child was looking up this. Well, they were at home with their Chromebook. And so we could see all of that. But these kids, I mean, they have these questions and think back to yourself when you were in middle school. These are normal questions and normal things to come up. It's just, and I've been in education for 18 years, so I've had the experience of being before the boom of technology and where everything was readily available. And now I'm also in it where there is readily available, but the questions are the same. It's just kids are getting access to either factual information or misinformation that we're having to dispel. And those are interesting conversations as well.
Yes, like throwing up a child. Yes.
That's how they come out, obviously.
Yeah, wow. So it's also interesting to your point that they're coming outside of the home to you, and they must see you as a trusted adult who's knowledgeable and like she'll have the right answers, right? And they're not afraid to ask. I'm trying to imagine myself in middle school going up to an adult in the school, right? And asking some of these questions. So that just says too, like a lot about how they see your role, and obviously the groups that you form for them, they feel comfortable voicing these curiosities.
For better or for worse.
Yeah.
I get it all.
Exactly.
And you have to master the art of keeping a straight face.
Yes.
Imagine that.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
you are like the professional, and so you want to like not make kids feel embarrassed for asking these kinds of questions. You want to be able to create that safe environment so that they are comfortable coming to you with these questions. And I laugh about it now, but it truly is so important to be a calm, stable source for kids to know that they can come to you with anything, because if they don't come to a trusted adult, you don't know where they're going to get their information from, and that in and of itself is scary.
Exactly. Wow, that is really interesting. So you've been in education for 18 years, and I'm curious about your other path that you have been on as well with life coaching. So I'm wondering if you can talk a little bit about when that came about and how that all looked as well for you.
I'd love to talk about that. So I'd say, I've been very happy as a school psychologist for probably like the first 10 to 15 years of my career. So fulfilling, everything I ever wanted from it. I've just loved it. But things started shifting both for me personally and also in what I'm seeing of what it means to be working in the public education system that has been changing, that I really have been feeling like things are not in alignment anymore with what my core values are, what my vision is for what it truly means to help students and to help them thrive. I'm sure you can probably relate. I'm guessing is that I've found that my role, my caseload has been growing and growing and growing and growing, and we're not hiring more mental health professionals, and we're also not hiring more teachers too. Class sizes are growing too, so you can, I'm sure, relate to that. And with that, there's increased paperwork, increased need to attend meetings, and it's just been feeling very much like I'm more of like working at a drive-through window with kids coming through. They have 5-10 minutes to me, and I'm supposed to solve all of their problems. And then, I also have to be present at all of these meetings and all of the reports I need to write and everything. And I just really have felt like I'm not helping people the way I once was, and it doesn't feel good to me. And I'm started to have this question a few years ago as like, is there something else for me? Is there something more for me? But I have no idea what that was. I just knew that it didn't feel good anymore. And then so there's been a lot of like questions of like, okay, I have so much background and experience in psychology and mental health. And I've also really started to grow my background in energy healing and pursuing Reiki and using that outside of school. But then I started thinking like, I wish there was a way that I can blend all of my experiences, all of my background knowledge, and use it to help people in a way that feels more in alignment with what I want to do. What could that be? I don't know. And I could share with you, like, there were little nudges along the way, and there were some huge, major, unignorable signs from the universe that I'm like, you got to do something else, Laura. But I stumbled upon life coaching in a way, and I actually had my own life coach as well, and I didn't really even know what it was as a field. But what I learned about life coaching is that it is so open, in that you can use all of your background experiences and expertise to help people. And you don't need to be stuck in the box of, I am a psychologist, or I am a psychotherapist, or I'm a mental health counselor, or I'm an addiction specialist. No, no, no. I can infuse like my energy healing, my intuitive practices, all of the scientific principles that I've learned about psychology over the years, and I can blend it to help people achieve their goals, whatever that is. And I've also been inspired these past few years that I'm meant to be working with adults, because I myself have felt stuck in education and in my career, like, and wanted to do something else, and feeling kind of like put in a box. And I know so many of my colleagues, both in and out of education, feel the same. And I feel so inspired to help people realize that you do not need to stay in the box that you think you need to be in, that there is so much more. And even if you don't know what it is at this exact moment, there are ways that you can try to figure out what it is that you're meant to be doing, that you're called to be doing. And just because you have started on this career path and society says you've got to finish it out through retirement because you got to collect your pension and you got to, do all the things, that's actually not true. Like, you could still be completely happy, maybe even more happy than you thought you could be in the path that you're on, if you let go of the parameters that have been imposed upon you. And so life coaching, energy work, I have found that those are just two beautiful parts of what I've incorporated into my life that has helped me to both grow personally, but also to share and to help other women, is primarily who I work with, other women step into their own power and purpose. And so that for me has been such an amazing ride, so fulfilling, and so much joy in my life because of that.
Oh, wonderful. I can relate, obviously, so much to what you're saying. And
how are you?
I definitely want to hear about some of the nudges that you had. But I think before that, what you just said, maybe you're not able to, so just tell me, but are you able to share just like one of the encounters that you had that reminded you, like, this is what I need to do, and what, a successful outcome that you've had with a client?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. So I'm thinking of one client in particular, and she's a mom, a stepmom, and she had given up her own career dreams to be a mother. And it was kind of unexpected. She went like literally like within a couple of months of having no kids, and now she has 4 kids, and she is rocking it and being the best possible stepmom. And now she has her own children as well. But she's lost track of like, but wait, I had this whole business that I wanted to start, and is it possible for me to even do that? Is it selfish for me to do that? I shouldn't do that. It's not okay. Like, everybody says that I should be so happy and joyful just to have the opportunity to be in this situation, to be a wife and mom. But it didn't feel in alignment to her. Like, she still obviously deeply cares for her family, but I also knew that there was this huge part of her that she had kind of closed the book on. And it didn't feel good. Like, there was this gnawing thing. Like, I need to start this business. She's so passionate about it. And her business is about all like nutrition and fitness and like looking at health from a holistic path. And so working with her, we were able to really articulate why it is that she keeps feeling these nudges to go in this, and how she can tangibly create a path to both be the amazing mom that she is and have a kick-ass business that she's running from her house, and still able to like be present for her family and helping the women that she knew that she herself has felt called to do. And so she's just completely blossoming and stepping into her power, and seeing that to me is what it's all about. It's because like when women are able to step into all of their gifts, it doesn't just help them, it helps their community, it helps their family, it provides like a role model for their kids to show what is possible, that you can do so much and there's so many gifts and we don't need to stay small. Like we can share our gifts and it's nothing to be ashamed of or to shy away from or to like feel like we shouldn't be doing these things. And I think as women, sometimes we get stuck in the like narrative that we've got to be the wife and mom and we've got to stay in this career, whatever. No, they're like, you could do more. Like, I want to shake things up. That's what I'm all about.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm sure, she was so hyper focused on that mom identity that she lost sight of some of the other identity as a professional, right? Which happens to women all of the time. And, it's because you want to do so, many things in this mom role. And then you're like, wait a second, there was this whole other part of me. Where did that go? Right? It got lost. Yeah. Oh, that's fascinating. Oh, that's wonderful. And I'll put your website in the show notes for everybody. But what is the best way if people are interested in your services? What's the best way for them to find you? Is it your website?
Yeah, my website, it's super simple. It's just lauraflowersllc.com. You can check out the type of work that I do through my coaching and energy work. And I also, if you are interested in even just having a conversation with me, there's a link on there where you can click and just book a free call with me, no pressure. And I want to hear, like, where are you at in your life? What are your goals? And, would working together make sense for you to help achieve that? So there's that for you as well.
Okay. That sounds like such fulfilling work. Definitely. So I want to hear your nudges since I shared mine with you on your show. You said there are some little ones and then some overt larger ones for you.
Yeah. Yeah. So like, oh, so many little nudges. Okay, so in education, there's lots of initiatives that happen in education. Like every year, there's like a new thing, like a new thing. Okay, this year is all about equity, and next year is all about like pedagogy, and next year is there's so many things that happen every single year that you're asked to like you learn something beautiful in one year and then the next year, like, okay, great, we're going to kind of table that. And now we're going to learn something else. But like along the way, some of these initiatives just like didn't really feel like it was helpful for my students' growth. And so it just felt like kind of like, the best, like an ick feeling inside. Like it just didn't feel right. I wasn't excited about it. It felt like it was more busy work. And it's just like paying attention to the signals in your body, where if you are getting information or being told that there's a new thing that you have to do, if you pay attention to the sensations in your body, like for something that's not in alignment, and a lot of it has not been in alignment these past few years, like it almost feels like a contracting feeling, like a tightness in your chest. And so that could be, like I said, whether it's like what the district is putting down for what you're expected to do as an educator and another thing that you have to add to your plate. Or there's been instances just like we're in my role where you're doing this really good, hard work and a lot of times it's really thankless. So you might have poured your heart and soul into something and maybe a colleague or a parent doesn't understand it. And so they kind of throw some shade at you and put you down for what you are trying to add to the profession. So, and that doesn't feel good either. So there's like little microaggressions like that, that I've noticed. But then there's also been like the really big ones. And there was a huge one for me about a year and a half ago, which was really that was it for me. In my role as a school psychologist, I do work with a lot of kids that are struggling with behavior regulation. And one of my students who I adore, have no hard feelings towards him at all, but he was highly dysregulated. And it ended up escalating to the point where he did physically assault me. And I got a head injury from being thrown into a wall, essentially. And I needed to take a good amount of time off of work to recover from my head and neck injury. And unfortunately, not only did that not feel good, and that to me was like a major flashing sign from the universe. And in hindsight, it's a gift that experience happened to me because it was all the validation I ever needed, that like all these small nudges that I've been like kind of ignoring. Like, no, like this is like, you can't keep doing this anymore, Laura. This isn't okay. So as I'm like off of work, recovering and going to all kinds of like physical therapy treatments, neurophysical therapy treatments, neurology appointments, this and that, you name it. And it was a tough recovery. I spoke with, and I'm thinking of one administrator in one of the higher up positions in our district who will remain nameless, who's, when I was expressing my frustrations and my sadness over what happened, said to me, Laura, this is kind of what you sign up for in this profession. And like that was like a punch to the stomach. Like truly it took my breath away. I didn't even know what to say. And unfortunately, I felt like this was validation of what I've kind of known all along, is that I'm a number and I don't feel valued in many aspects as being a human being and an educator with a lot of knowledge and expertise to bring to the table. And it just didn't feel good. And I know that I am so much more than a number. And I know that my beautiful colleagues are so much more than numbers. And I don't want to be a statistics anymore. So that to me, like it was the big one. And it's sad. Like I really had a lot of heartache over that because I did love this profession for so long. And I'm sad that it has kind of taken and gone down the path that it is. I don't know that this is what it's like everywhere, but it's been my experience in my part of the world. But again, like you choose how you want to look at situations. And so that to me, like as hurtful as that comment was to me, it was also a gift because it made it super crystal clear that I'm on the right path. And I'm thankful for that because it's given me the courage and the validation that I can step outside of my role as a school psychologist. I can do something else. There is more for me out there. You need to pursue that. And so that's what I'm doing.
Wow, that is a very large nudge. And again, having been in education, unfortunately not surprising to me. I have heard, similar stories to that. And like you said, the incident is one thing, and you almost, you expect certain behaviors out of kids, especially if they are troubled and have issues. But the adults who are the professionals, that is sometimes the more difficult pill to swallow. So I definitely understand what you're saying there. Wow. Thank you for sharing that. So what would you say to someone, because I know there are a lot of them out there who, they're feeling in their body and of course in their mind, like this is just, I will not be able to do this until my retirement age. And maybe they haven't yet had the large nudge like you did, but they feel all of these small things in their body and their intuition is saying, this, I just don't know. And maybe even, I've heard people having health issues, and I know I certainly had exhaustion and issues like that with anxiety. What advice, especially because you're the professional here, would you give to someone who's sort of wrestling with this?
So the biggest piece of advice that I want to give, I'm going to bring it right back to intuition, because I think that for so many of us, especially in education, we have been conditioned to not listen to those nudges and to just, keep being a good worker and do the things. But you are doing that at a risk and at a detriment to your own soul, to your physical health, to your family. And I don't want for other people to get to the point where they need a huge nudge or a hit over the head like me.
Right.
Because you shouldn't need to get that way. Your intuition is such a powerful North Star, and I encourage anybody listening to really tap into and get into a place where they're able to really recognize when their intuition is showing up. And it can be both in your physical body sensations, it could be in your thoughts and feelings, it could be in your health, it could be in your sleep. There are so many ways, but it's showing up for a reason, and don't ignore it, and take some time to turn inward to be able to sort out what is your intuition trying to tell you, and really really follow that path, follow like if you're thinking maybe about going down one path but not sure, allow yourself to take some time to really go down the rabbit hole of that path in your mind and in your soul, and imagine what it might feel like if you pursue that path. Does that feel open and expansive and light, or does it feel more contracting and tight and restrictive? And a lot of times, like that's just one thing you can do, but there are so many different practices that you can do to get in touch with your intuition. So that's really a huge takeaway. And I know that it might sound super easy. It's scary. Oh, believe me, I've been so scared because like there's so much uncertainty when you choose to step outside of the box because you don't know. But what I do know is that what the way things are going right now, and if you're feeling the same, it doesn't work. I can't sustain this. And if you have that sense of this can't be sustained, trust it. And know that you have so many talents and gifts, and that if you choose a different path or you choose to like recreate the role that you're in some way, you can do it. You're not throwing away your gifts and your experiences. You are just finding a way to use it for a different purpose. And that's beautiful.
Absolutely. That is such great advice. It's like a stepping stone. You're not throwing away all of the work that you've done and all of the tools you've accumulated. You're using them for your great next step that you're moving on to. Yeah, that's really helpful. And it's so interesting that you mentioned showing up in your sleep, because I'm on spring break right now. And I started my spring break by going to a college visit where my daughter has now decided to go. And in the first 2 nights in this hotel, I woke up with school stress dreams, and I can't remember the last time I had one. I've had them in the past, and then I had another one this week when I got home. So we're talking about 3 in the span of 6 days, and I've resigned from teaching. I mean, I'm still teaching, but I'm like, what is that? Can somebody please analyze me and tell me what this is about? Is it like my body? I don't know, but yeah, that's a real thing.
It's so real. I'll tell you what that is. That is your intuition telling you that you've made the correct choice.
Yay!
You have.
Okay. I'm like, where is this coming from? I'm not that invested as I once was. Why am I suddenly worried about this?
Right? It's like you're reliving the patterns that you've had for however many years, and it's showing up in your subconscious, and you're working through it. Like that to me is like, oh yeah, you made the right choice.
Okay.
That's what you're walking away from. Those dreams don't feel good. And that's like you saying goodbye to that chapter. Like, okay, let me just flush it out. Let me just get the rest of it out.
Isn't that interesting?
Like, yeah. Other things. Pay attention to your dreams, because like there's so much wisdom in our dreams.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that I definitely knew there was something to it, especially because, I can't remember the last time I've had that. And you're like, well, now I shouldn't be worrying about it. Like I'm soon to be free. But yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's like another nudge, right? It's another.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's you purging that school stress energy right out of your body.
Exactly. Oh my gosh. I think I'm really, and again, talking to more people who are in education and having these feelings, I really thought that, we heard there's a teacher shortage coming, there's, public education, which I was always a big proponent of, and obviously it has its critics. Like I'm starting to see now exactly what you're saying, like, is it sustainable? I thought we had more time before the tipping point, because I believe a tipping point is coming if it's not already here.
Right.
But I thought we had more time. And, there's one thing from in the classroom or in the office, what you're seeing as far as, the big rumor in our school for next year is every 1 in every 4 freshmen has paperwork, which is exactly what you're talking about as far as like the workload and, can you help a student if every so many people need help? Then I saw it on the other side when they posted my position, which they posted it the first time as an English and journalism job, which we knew journalism was going to be hard to fill, and then soon got 0 applicants who were qualified for that, and went back and have now found someone who I can train who's already in the department, which is the ideal situation. So they reposted the job as English only, because now a part-time person is now leaving in my department. And no qualified candidates. I mean, 7 in all for an English position that when I was applying for English positions, it was at least 100.
Yes.
Right. And they have found one person right out of college who they're going to be interviewing tomorrow in the time that we're taping this. That was so eye-opening to me because I teach in one of the best high schools in the state of Wisconsin. We're very much a destination district. We have very high test scores. We live in a great community that values education. I guess that really was a wake-up call to me. I don't know how you feel about, like, I knew it was coming. Everybody was talking about it, but I'm like, are we already here?
That's a great question. Yeah, and I'm disappointed but not shocked at what you shared about the lack of applicants. I see that as well. We've had so much turnover in my district in recent years, and it is very, very hard to find qualified candidates that want the job.
Okay, interesting.
Very hard. We have positions that, because we can't fill them with a certified staff, have had just like for a never-ending stream of long-term substitutes or building substitutes, which isn't helpful for our students also, clearly. But it's sad. And I think even just in conversations that I hear with my colleagues, if they're talking about, if they have a high school age kid or college age child themselves who's thinking about going into the field of education, the advice from the parent is often like, please don't do that. You don't want to go into education. And that to me is wild because when I started the profession, like, it was like, you want to get into education. This is a great field. There's like so much promise in it, and it's valued, it's respected. You've got so many qualities. But now, like, it's just the educators are like, it is overwhelming. It is unsustainable. It is thankless. It is unhealthy, physically, emotionally, psychologically. And that's just so sad.
Yeah.
It's so sad because we have people like you who are so gifted and qualified that just can't make it to the end, to retirement. And that's a shame. And I would have thought with COVID that I would have loved for the nation to realize, like, oh my gosh, we need our educators. And in the midst of COVID, when parents didn't have babysitters, they were like, yeah, we need our educators. But now that COVID's kind of in the rearview mirror, it's just like, and I've heard, and I'm embarrassed to say, members of my own family, I've overheard conversations where they refer to educators as babysitters. And that is, and they have like someone in the family who is like a strong advocate for public education. But I think that's just like, it's sad to me that the people that are entrusted with raising the nation's youth, and it's going to be the next generation for our nation, it is so undervalued, the teaching profession. And that shows up in teacher pay. That shows up in how parents are feeling like very entitled to undermine teachers, to badmouth teachers in the profession, both to their children and to their neighbors and whoever will listen. It's like, who would want to go into this profession anymore?
Yeah,
It's so sad.
It is. And again, you've been in the profession 2 decades. I've been in it 3. And I'm sure people before us saw changes, when we were entering, but you didn't hear the kind of talk now of warning people about going into education. So you're in another state than I am. And it's interesting. I appreciate your perspective from outside my bubble because I can talk to the same colleagues every day who are, in my area. But it's interesting when you talk to people in other districts and outside in different states, that they're seeing a lot of the same things. So, okay, interesting. Yeah, that tracks. All right, well, we're going to take a little break here before we get into your lesson, and we're going to have a couple ads, and then we'll be right back. 100% of men and women have hormones. And with the increased presence of processed foods and environmental toxins, it's more important than ever to make mindful choices in the products we use every day. That's why I trust Hue and Grace, high-performing, clean products designed to support hormone health while reducing exposure to harmful chemicals. Because this topic has been my primary focus since ending birth control in 2024 in an attempt to regulate my changing midlife hormones, after making healthy swaps in my diet, personal care products, and exercise routine, I've been able to lower my dose of anxiety medication I once relied very heavily on, and have restored balance to my nervous system and cleared up the brain fog I was experiencing in perimenopause. Hue & Grace has played a key role in this transformation, offering safe, effective, non-toxic solutions that support my wellness journey. If you listened to episode 16 with certified Mayo Clinic health and wellness coach Tracy Danielson Mitchell, you heard our talk about the importance of hormone health. To share with you everything I did throughout my journey to balance my hormones, I did a deep dive on my Live and Learn Patreon about all of the tests and supplements that I use in order to navigate this journey in my 50s. To find this episode, you can just visit patreon.com/liveandlearn. Some of my favorite products I use every day include Hue & Grace's Hydrate and Detox that contains powerful antioxidants, electrolytes, and prebiotic fiber. Their popular blue drink you see me drinking on Instagram is their Triple Boost Hormone Support Protein Powder with blue spirulina that I mix with their daily collagen supplement. I also keep my skin hydrated and smooth with their spray-on body oil. I love putting this on before going out, and it gives my aging skin a more dewy look. I've also switched out my hair care products to Hue & Grace's Your Best Hair Day line, with all natural ingredients that help nourish my hair and stretch out time between washes. If you're on this journey with me and are interested in exploring Hue & Grace's trusted non-toxic products, for 10% off and free shipping, you can use my discount link at hueandgrace.com/lessonplan and reach out anytime via email at nextlessonplan@gmail.com with questions. Live and learn with me as we focus on living fully and feeling our best. Visit hueandgrace.com/lessonplan to see how easy it is to start making some healthy swaps on your way to non-toxic living. To those of you who have followed me for a while, you know that I value mental and physical wellness. Personally, I've worked with a few different coaches over the years and even been one myself. If you are looking for education and support in your own wellness journey, I would love to invite you to the wellness community I am currently in that keeps me accountable daily with my nutrition and movement. If you are a Facebook user, you can search for our free group called Team MG. This group is led by my coach, Megan Grimaud, who is a certified trainer and nutrition coach. She offers lots of education and support for your wellness journey. If you want to get to know Coach Megan more, you can follow her on Instagram at all lowercase Megan, MEGAN_Grimaud, GRIMORD, or even listen to her on episode 10 of the podcast. She has also created a discount code for my listeners. Just go to her website, www.team-mg.com, and enter code LessonPlan10 to get $10 off any of her premium coaching packages for the first month. Coach Megan is a busy mom like me who works full-time, so I appreciate her practicality mixed with some tough love to keep me going. You know what that sound means. We're used to our bell now. We're at the Ask the Teacher Anything portion of the podcast. And the first question is, has creating a podcast changed the way you listen to other podcasts? Yes, definitely. Now that I know kind of the structure of, typical podcasts. I know a lot of them stray from this, but I definitely listen to their intros and their outros, how they do that. I listen specifically to how they do their transitions. I listen to ideas for segments and how they handle that. And then I definitely, because editing was the thing I was most scared of, I definitely pay attention to a lot of their editing. And I have to say that some of the most popular podcasts I've been noticing recently have been having some editing glitches. So it makes me feel a little bit better, I guess. But yes, I definitely am a little bit more discerning in just the pieces of the podcast and how they go together, because now I'm sort of on that side of it. And then the second question is, do you ever struggle with imposter syndrome in your new endeavors? If so, how do you handle it? Yes. In fact, I talked about this, I think, early on in episodes 15 and 17, where I talked about starting a side hustle. And then the next episode, 17, I talked about kind of building your brand and expanding your side hustle. And I definitely in those episodes talk about at the beginning of a journey when you're learning so much at one time and you're doing something brand new, it's totally normal to feel some imposter syndrome, like, who am I to do this? Or, if it's not something that you maybe have a degree in or went to school for, I think it's pretty normal to feel that. But I have to say that most of that has gone away. I mean, it comes up when I'm learning or doing something new. But then once I do it for a while, it sort of goes away. And as far as how I've handled that, I've talked about this before on the podcast, is that I watch and study and learn from people who do things well that I want to do. So if there's something new that I'm learning, I ask questions. I will sign up for an online course or a webinar or a free guide, and I will learn as much as I can from the experts in the field. So hopefully that helps. Again, you can always submit your Ask the Teacher Anything questions on lifesnextlessonplan.com. We have a box for the questions on the website as well as on Instagram and Facebook. We are back from break, and I'm so excited that Laura has brought a lesson for us today, something that we can take with us if we are interested in exploring her ideas more today. So tell us what you brought for us, Laura.
Absolutely. So in working with different clients, both within my coaching practice and also in working and talking with my colleagues about intuition. Again, you're noticing a theme with me. I keep going back to intuition. I've heard people say some comments like, well, that's great for you, but I don't have intuition, or things like that. Or I don't know how to access my intuition. And I'm here to tell you, every single person has intuition. We can all access it. It is a muscle that you need to practice and build in order to grow stronger. It gets easier. So I've noticed a need to be able to give a really tangible tool and strategy to help people tap into their intuition and to start making it part of their practice. So I created a super simple tool for people to use. It's a 28-day self-discovery journal. It is 28 days that you need to commit to this 5 to 10 minutes a day. It's not a lot. There's one prompt, and each prompt that I've created for each day is designed to help you access more of your subconscious, your inner thoughts and desires that might not be at the surface, sort through things, and really get more familiar with how to access your intuition with ease. And it's just something super simple. And because people, when I say you need to start journaling, is that will help you, they're like, I don't know how to journal. That's for kids. Like, I don't write a diary. No, it's journaling is one of the most powerful tools available for anybody to help you find clarity and direction. And I think that for people that aren't used to journaling, giving them a blank book feels really daunting. And so that's why I decided to create some prompts that are very simple prompts, but powerful and direct and to the point. And they serve a purpose to help you start to cultivate that part of you. So I'm excited to share that. It's completely free, and I'm happy to provide it for your listeners if they would like to access it.
Yeah, that's so great. I will definitely drop that in the show notes for them. And it ties perfectly with what we've talked about today, with how you feel certain things in your body, but you're not quite sure what that means, or you're not really paying attention to it. And this, rather than just, I cannot journal with a blank page typically, even though I'm an English teacher and I teach writing, but it's like, I always feel like I'm supposed to have some sort of answer or so, and so having a prompt really even helps me as an English teacher, just getting that out there. So yes, that's awesome. I'm definitely going to drop that in the show notes. And also, I'd like you, if you're willing, to talk a little bit about, I know I found your podcast and listened to it. I love your podcast. It's actually very similar to mine, and I have listened to multiple episodes of it and really, really, really enjoy it. Can you just talk a little bit about that journey and how it sort of aligns with your other work as well?
I'd love to. So I've created a podcast called Rediscovering You. And really, it is exactly what the title says. And it's about helping people figure out what their next steps might be, coming back to center if they've been feeling like living a life that's misaligned. So in my podcast, I have like really tangible tools and strategies to help you get back to who you are at your core, what your values are, so that you can live a life that feels really good to you and in alignment. And I love having guests on my podcast as well. Rachel, I was so happy to have you on the podcast too, but the guests that I invite on my podcast are people that have not only talked the talk, but walked the walk. So they might have been in a career for so long or in a relationship for so long, or something happened where they're like, I need to make a change in my life. And they did it. And there's so much wisdom to come from listening to other people's stories, because we can really see bits and pieces of ourselves when we hear other people's stories. And it's empowering to us to see that, if this person who's not a superhero, like, was able to do it, then why can't I do it? And that's really what it is. And so I've been so excited to have guests from all different backgrounds, like authors, entrepreneurs, energy healers, educators. So people from all walks of life. So on this podcast, I'm just so happy to see what it's evolving into. There's something for everybody. There truly is. So I invite you to tune in if that sounds interesting to you. I'd love to have you chime in and let me know what your thoughts are.
Absolutely.
And if you have a story to share, I'm just going to do a little.
Yeah.
Have a compelling story to share where you have created a big, bold next step of your life. I'd love to talk to you about potentially being a guest so that you can inspire others. Because I know that all of us have a story to share, and we can all learn from one another and be lifted up by one another. So I invite you to reach out to me.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a spot on Laura's website where you can have this discovery call with her. And if you're not 100% sure, she can just talk you through like what you might talk about on her show. And if you're a listener of my show, like I said, I'm admitting our podcasts are very similar. And we always find things at a point in our life that speak to us, right? So yeah, Laura's podcast definitely spoke to me. So if you enjoy the content here, I know you would really enjoy the content of Laura's podcast as well. So thank you so much for sharing all of your wisdom with us today. I so appreciate our connection that we have been able to build from afar, and hopefully we'll keep in touch.
I know we will. Thank you so much, Rachel. It's been such an honor and a joy speaking with you.
Tuning into your intuition isn't always easy, but as Laura shared today, it's one of the most powerful tools we have when facing big life decisions. Whether it's a career shift, a personal transformation, or just that feeling that something needs to change, trusting yourself is the first step. If Laura's journey resonated with you, be sure to check out her free 28-day journaling guide in the show notes, as well as follow her on social media to help you tap into your own tuition. And as always, if you enjoyed this conversation, share it with a friend, leave a review, or reach out. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Remember, you can follow my last days in the classroom at Life's Next Lesson Plan on YouTube and catch more content on my Live and Learn Patreon. The focus for April is the empty nest, and I have previous guest Reagan Zimmerman Shrestha on talking about her transition to college and her role as an admissions interviewer for MIT. And my own daughter has actually agreed to an episode from a senior in high school's perspective on how she has approached her college journey, as well as her father's and my role in this transition. That should be interesting. As always, thanks for listening, and I'll see you next week on Life's Next Lesson Plan.